Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Welcome back 2023, my man Clay, my man Al on the twos, the ones and twos. And I got to tell you, Clay, man, a good seeing you again, my brother. But look, looking at that montage coming into it, man, just give me some flashbacks of 2023, looking at those national champs, looking at those girls do the little battle on vibe. Man, I can't tell you how exciting last year was, man, but I got to tell you, I'm even more excited about this year. Why, man? Because we have a lot of opportunity to make history this year. We'll get into that in the show. But, man, Clay, what you don't get much of off season, man. You do the 707, you do the 707 roller skate derby, you do the frisbee contest. Man, you don't get no rest. You see, man, I shut it down, bro. I hit the islands. I don't come back, and nobody hear from me till football season. But what were you able to just really take from the off season, man, from last year, 2022 to 2023?
Man, one thing is right, man. We stay busy. You know what I'm saying? And not just me, but even my whole crew, because a lot of the guys that do the YNC with me are the same guys that do the 707 circuit, man. So I got to give a big hats off to my guys that take care of me, man, because I keep these guys grinding, man. Some of these guys be having, arguments with their wives because they always out of town working with me and whatnot. But I mean, they take care of me, man. But I can tell you this, Jonah, looking at the rollout that AG put up, man, and just so many memories, man. And
Yeah,
and it was in my opinion, one of the most memorable youth football seasons ever from top to bottom.
yeah,
And I know that this year, 2023, is going to be even better. I'm looking at the pictures and I'm just like, I can't help but look at that trophy and like, man, I don't care what nobody say. That's the cleanest trophy in the game, Jonah. That's the cleanest trophy in the game, my G. You know what I'm saying? And to have our kids hoisting that crystal ball up, man, and then now we've added the cheer competition to it, and we're gonna turn it up a whole nother notch there. It just shows how I feel like the youth national championship leads the way for these youth, for
right.
these kids, and also for these coaches and parents that put a lot into it as well too. It gives them an opportunity to enjoy the success that their kids are going through and that they're experiencing. Um, Second to none, dog. Second to none. And as we go on through this show, I'm gonna tell y'all guys, man, comment, tag your people, get everybody on. We got some big announcements tonight. Not only is
Yeah,
Jonah and I gonna go back and talk about the best teams in the country, the Division One youth
right.
national champions from top to bottom, but we're also gonna talk about some of the new rollouts we have. We're gonna talk about the teams that have already confirmed and registered for the YNC preseason. Because a lot of people out there faking the funk, man. They out there saying they want to smoke, man, but they have gone to Dick's. They've bought
Yeah,
the newest pair of Nike Zoom track spikes, tied them on their feet very tightly, and took off running from the smoke. That's exactly what they're doing. So we're gonna call all that out, man, because one thing we can't let
yeah,
slide this year, Jonah. If you're running for smoke, your ranking will be affected, bro. You can't stay on
absolutely.
top when you're running from smoke.
Well, and for all y'all who think Clayton redecorated his living room, no, he is in the battle headquarters right now in Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? His
Battle
living room
corporate
still look the
office.
same at the crib. The office still, the home office still intact. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
But yeah, in the battle headquarters in Nebraska right now. You know what I'm saying? Getting ready for the 2023 gear. We got to make sure that these our champs look the part. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing since we started YNC Clay. What we can always tell you is that we always want our champs to look like champs. We've never ran from everything we promised. When those champs go ahead and win that, we got to go ahead and fit them out. They come represent their battle uniforms, represent their battle track suits. So that's a big part of being a YNC champion. And if you had to think about, and I'm going to tell you one of my favorite games from last year, but I want you kind of jog in your mind, what game stood out to you and why did it stand out? One of my games, man, I got to tell you, it was a battle between the Georgia Eagles and your boys from Columbus, man. So you're talking about two teams that met the year before. They came back and met for the championship again. It was just a battle all the way down to the end. Georgia Eagles came out on top. But I got to tell you, I look for those two teams to just really kind of lead the pack once again. But if I talk about a quality football game, that was some football being played on another level in the national championship.
That game was a huge game, man. And when you crown a national champion with a 6-0 final score, that lets you know you truly had the two best teams in the country. So I'm gonna say this again for those guys in the back who are still wearing the old school hats, believing the old school methods, and believing that your let me see the best way I can say it, Jonah. Your belief in the process is the best way for it to happen. Listen to me, man. Best two teams in the country last year on 9U were the Georgia Eagles and Twin City Outlaws. And
Yeah,
they faced
Twin
off
City.
at the YNC, and the national champion was crowned 6-0. Now, will that happen for a third year in a row, Jonah? We've never had 3 years of the row in a row of the same two teams playing in the national
Right,
championship, right? But
right.
to piggyback what off you're saying, if I had to choose a game that was the most memorable for me, and I had it in my head, man, right before you said Georgia Eagles and Twin City. Give me 1 second, brother. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Pull it back up. Most memorable game for me last year. Gosh,
Yeah.
dog it. What game was it? What game was it? What game was it?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a
Oh,
championship game. Some of those playdown games was
it
crazy.
wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't a championship game. 13U, Lauderhill Lions, and the Golden Army.
Golden Army. Movie.
That game, that
Movie.
game gave you everything that the YNC embodies, right?
Yeah.
Two top national championship contender teams going head to head. And these two teams were
Yeah.
both in their own backyard and didn't get to see each other all year, right? That's
Yeah.
one thing that we do in YNC. We're not finna put no magic formula or anything together. We're gonna put the best teams in spots, and
Right.
eventually they're gonna have to clash. And on
Right.
that 13U level last year, if you think about it, that was the only bracket that we only had 4 teams. But I tell you
Right.
what, you put them 4 teams anywhere else in the country, they are crowned national champions.
Yeah.
Every last
No,
one of
you're
them.
right. So now I want to ask you this. After watching the whole tournament, watching it from day one all the way up to the championship game, and I'm going to tell you my team first. Who do you think had the most dominant play from getting off the bus until they hold that trophy in their hand? And I want to say for me, man, DA12, you just played lights out defense, man. Every time they got on the football field, they smothered everybody, all the way from the championship game to when they got up there. And I just really didn't see anything like it. Just teams that usually are explosive, they just made look mediocre. They just played physical football. And I just really think they just exemplified championship football from, like I said, getting off the bus to the times they got in and did check-in, to the time they collected their jewelry and put their chains on around their necks.
Listen, DEA definitely dominated the scene last year at the YNC. You got to take your hats off to that coaching staff. You got to take your hats off to those players. And you got to take hats off to those parents, right? They came and truly showed what they were on 12U, which is the #1 team in the country. No argument about it, right? For me, the answer to your question would come down to 2 teams, right? I believe both of these teams won their national championship in a very dominant fashion. And
Yeah.
they're used to the limelight. They're used to walking the YNC stage. They're used to playing those hard games back to back to back. Because here's the thing. People don't understand what's so different about the Youth National Championship. You can go to
Yeah.
other platforms and play in the national championship, and you may have a hard first round game. And then you can play your second string for the next 2 rounds till you get to the national
Right.
championship. Or you could play your second string from the day you get there till the national championship.
Right.
Can't do that at the YNC. The 2 teams that impressed me the most that week would be Voodoo and Lambeau. Both of those teams showed their dominance. Both of those teams showed how you adapt on a daily basis of the grind and the wear and tear on your kids and on the coaching staff to win a youth national championship. Without a doubt, those 2 teams.
And it's funny you say those 2 teams, Clay, because those are the 2 teams that could possibly make YNC history. You talking about Lambeau winning back-to-back championships thus far, and they were removed one year just because they had a big injury in the championship game when they lost. You know, they took you play without a guy like Melo. It's like Chicago Bulls playing without Michael Jordan. You know, we know it's a team football game, but you know, you lose a player like that, it's hard to recover. And they still was in the dogfight. And they lost against True back then. But if not, you're probably looking at a four-peat team right now. You see what I'm saying? If not a five-peat team. So Lambeau has probably been, for the lifespan of the YNC, probably the most dominant team from the time we've seen them enter as growing up all the way till now. Now you have some Hall of Fame teams. You talk about the Miami Gardens Ravens, led by Coach Matt. You talk about some teams that just really did, had excellent. You talk about the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes with Coach Chris. But you got to put Lambeau in the conversation as in Hall of Fame YNC caliber team.
Lambeau is definitely in the category of Hall of Fame YNC team, right? Coach Howard, his staff, his players. Again, you got to give credit to the parents because, as we all know in youth football, if your parents are not on board, then everything else is going to crumble. The best
Right.
team has crumbled from drama in the stands. Everything for Lambeau is clicking. And what I think is going to be unique is because a lot of people feel like as Lambeau moves to 11U this year and 12U next year, because they've
Yeah.
won in a dominant fashion, not having to throw the ball. A lot of people feel like that there may be a chink in the armor because as the kids get older, the game changes, and Lambeau hasn't showed a proficient passing attack. I'm here to tell you, man, that I think Howard probably could run the same offense all the way through 13U, 14U, and they may continue to win because they impose their will. Their bigs up front are some of the most dominant offensive and D linemen that the YNC has ever seen. But if we're talking about history, you got to talk about Voodoo. Voodoo right now is on pace to do something that no team has ever done in YNC history.
Yeah.
They're the 6U national champions. They're the 7U national champions. They're the 8U national champions. They could be the 9U national champions. And if they
Yeah.
continue 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, they are in a position to be the first team ever to run the entire table. So now
That's
let me ask
crazy.
you this, Joan.
That's crazy.
If you're Coach Batman, Big Mike, Coach Larry O, and you guys are going into your 13U or 14U season with Voodoo, and you've won every single age level from 6U to your current status. Like, what else is there to accomplish?
Right.
You've won
Oh, I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna.
on the most
I'm gonna tell
dominant
you what it's gonna
stage,
be,
which is the
Clay.
youth national championship.
So you know, Coach Mike and Coach High School. You know what's gonna happen from there. After they won all the youth football championships, they're gonna win. They're going for state championship. They want to go play for national championships on the high school level. And I'll tell you what, you keep that core of kids together, that it's a good possibility. And I'll tell you, again, we see, I can't tell you, Clay and I travel the countries even before YNC it takes place at the end of the year. We evaluate teams from preseason all the way out through the regular season. And still, and this is pound for pound, I'm not just going to say it because they were 8U last year. There is no coaching staff that we've seen consistently run a hurry-up, speed offense, hand signals from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And the crazy thing about it, these kids are 8U. You know what I'm saying? And so how do you get your kids ready as an 8-year-old coach? This year they'll be 9U, of course. But how do you get your kids ready, Clay, to say, hey, these guys don't huddle. They're never going to come to the sidelines. We don't have time for substitutions. You better make sure your wind sprints are in place. You're not going to have time. How do you get some 8-year-old kids ready? So this is what makes this team so exceptional because, man, you know what's coming. But it's another thing to watch it on YouTube. It's another thing to watch it on AG Sports. Another thing to watch it on Generation X Live. But it's another thing to get in front of that football team, get hitting them out, and when the whistle blow, they already back on the ball again.
The only way you can prepare for something like that, Jonah, is that there either needs to be a older age level in your organization that can perform at that level that you can practice against on a daily basis, or there's an older age level from another organization within your city that you have a great relationship with that you can get together with and practice that. The only way anybody is going to be able to beat Voodoo this year in 9U is you need to have probably a 10 or 11U organization or team in your org or your park, whatever title you put on it, and they need to run a hurry up offense against your 9-year-old kids every day.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you can prepare for that. And then it's got to be a lot of film study because as great as a offensive coordinator and coach as Coach Batman is, as great as a job as Big Mike and Larry O do with that offensive line, all coaches have tendencies. What are the
Yeah.
tendencies? And then can you get new film? Can you get recent film? Because as the kids evolve, the coaches and what they want to do with the kids is going to evolve. So those old tendencies may now turn into, maybe overshadowed by some new stuff. So it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a team that's really dedicated not only to the football part of it, but the X's and O's, the preparation, the study, and the craft to beat voodoo.
Yeah. So now, Clay, you're a Texas guy. You're a Texas boy, homegrown. How many championships would Pat Prime have won now if there was no voodoo in youth football?
Man, Pac Prime would be a three-time YNC national champion right now if it wasn't for voodoo. Now, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Pac Prime has lost a game before outside of voodoo. I think one year they took an L to SED, but that is a inner city rivalry, right? That's going to happen.
Right.
No one has beat Pac Prime on a national stage besides voodoo. It's almost
Right.
like Pac Prime right now is John Elway when he was with the Broncos and they went to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. You know what I'm saying?
Buffalo Bills.
So, Buffalo Bills. There we go. Yeah, I'm tripping. Buffalo Bills. Jim Kelly. So
Yeah. Jim
at
Kelly.
what
There you
point?
go.
Yeah, Jim
Kelly
Kelly. At
Tough.
what point? At what point? When do you say, "Hey, man, this is the year for us to get over the hump"?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So now we talked about our best performances. We talked about some of the top teams. Let's talk about what was, in your opinion, one of the most surprising, disappointed losses, even before the championship. In mine, man, it comes again. We talk about Texas. SED Wolverines. Man, oh man, oh man. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I already had
Yeah.
penciled them in
TME.
against the Rare Breeds, to go ahead for another rematch for a national championship. What happened, Clay? In your eyes, what happened to the SED Wolverines before were they looking past their current opponent and looking at the Rare Breeds?
I don't think they were looking past TME, but I think because and for those of you that aren't familiar, TME was formerly Northside Pride, right? So they had played SED a couple times before in the YNC or in some other events, and SED had always become victorious. So I'm not going to say they were looking past TME. I do think that the kids might have had a overconfidence walking into that game. But I will tell you this: you got to take your hats off to the coaches from TME. They prepared for that game. They watched film. They drilled their kids down. They knew exactly what Coach Street and staff was going to do, and they executed to make the plays they needed to
Yeah.
make to win that game. And it's crazy
Right.
because when that matchup fell into place in the bracket, Coach from TME told me, he said, Clay, he's like, I know Coach Street is your boy, but he's
Yeah, he
going
said, I'm going to shock
down.
the
He said,
world.
mark my
Yeah.
words. He
Yeah.
is going down tomorrow night. And I was like, okay, bro, just show us on the field. And he did that. He did that. Coach TK did that. So, man, hats off to that performance last year. If I'm trying to think of an upset that I wasn't expecting, man, you
And I'm going
got
to
me
tell you
on that
what
one,
age
man.
group threw me for a loop, Clay. 14U. Rampage had lost earlier to the year, got beat down by the OG Ducks. And I'm like, man, Rampage too small. They too young.
Yep,
Fifi's the
yep,
king of
yep,
14U. It ain't going to
yep.
happen. And Rampage defied all odds and, man, came out there and played some football and snatched and took a national championship.
And not only
JD3
did they beat
especially.
OC Dubs, they also beat the number one team in the country at that time, OC Buckeyes. You know,
Yeah.
I believe Rampage is a perfect example of a team that peaked at the right time. But the reason they
Right.
were able to peak at the right time was because they were not afraid to take some of those hard games early in the season to
You're
find out
right.
what they needed to do. Because
That's a
remember,
good point.
when we was in California for YNC preseason last year, OG Ducks dismantled them in front of us. Dismantled them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they took the L, made some adjustments, learned from it. And when I tell you, man, the performance they put on at YNC, I think it was probably one of the most Cinderella performances we could ever discuss. But then, can you really call it a Cinderella considering they had just won the 13U national championship year before? So they were back-to-back
That's
YNC
correct.
champs.
Yeah, it was nice to really watch that team grow in front of our eyes because they played some outstanding games. When Rampage made the move, came over to YNC, their first introduction to the YNC was against the Outlaws. You know, they stepped off the
KC Outlaws,
airplane
Kane Archer.
and got punched in the mouth and had to punch their tickets right to California before their lunch even got warm.
Hey, hey, my guys, man, they was hurt. Twin and them, they was hurt. They was hurt, but that probably was the best thing for them because here's what it opened their eyes to. It opened their eyes to you can't be overconfident, right? You have to take everybody seriously. If they've got a youth national
Yeah,
championship invitation in December, they are the real deal. Don't
yeah,
make any mistake about that. Second thing it showed them was that this is a level of football, a level of execution that was a lot different than what they had been used to. They had dominated the West Coast. They had been Snoop Youth Football League national champions a couple times.
right,
They had dominated some AYF teams and UYFL teams on the West Coast who had all done well at their respective national championships. So they felt like they had beat everybody there was to beat.
right,
So
right.
as they told me, hey Clay, we're gonna come over to the YNC to see what you as how he said, we're gonna see what y'all really got down there, baby. You know what I'm saying? That was exactly how he said it. And we
Yeah,
showed
yeah,
them what we had. But again, they learned from that, they adapted, and now, man, you can't argue with those guys, man. Two-time YNC
yeah.
national champions, arguably, one of the best older age group teams to ever come through the youth national championship.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we talk about the baby pounds, man. It stayed at home. Bessemer Tigers, man, shocked the world at 6U and 7U. Had a dominant fashion there, man. And I got to tell you, congrats to those teams because they weren't the favorites coming into the season. Took some loss early in the season, but, had consistent football. We saw them in Alabama, man, peaked at the right time. National champs at 6 and 7, Bessemer Tigers.
Bessemer Tigers tell you they came in with a game plan and they executed on 6U and 7U. That's exactly what they did. They did it in a dominant fashion. I think what I respect the most about them is that there was nothing flashy about them. They came in and
Yeah,
played hard-nosed football. They hit people in the mouth. They blocked until the whistle was blown. They executed when they did face adversity. They made the big plays they needed to make to overcome the adversity. And that's one of the biggest things that you need. You can be the best team in the country. Sometimes you need a little luck as well too. And both of those teams
yeah,
got that little bit of luck they needed at the right time to make those plays. I'm excited to watch both Bessemer teams defend their national titles. Because if
yeah,
we think about it, Jonah, when's the last time we've had two national champions in back to back age levels from the same
yeah.
organizational park? Think
That's
about it.
crazy.
At practices, you got the best 7U and 8U in the country going head to head right now.
So, and that practice must be live, boy. I got to tell you, they only gonna make
It's
each
got
other
to be.
sharper. That practice got to
It's got to
definitely be
be.
live. So,
It's got to
so
be.
look, man. Hey,
But
we want to thank everybody for tuning in. When we come back, we have some big announcements. We're about to, and we all about changing the game. We got something we're gonna change the game with when we come back. Also, we'll be breaking down the 3 cities that we're doing for the preseason. It's time for us to evaluate and see these teams. Listen, the race for the national championship just starts in a couple months, and you got to be able to see what you got. If you're going to run from the smoke when that fire really starts, you won't be prepared. So it's your time, July, August. So your time to put in there. So we're in Houston, we're in DMV, and we're in the Carolinas, man. So those are where it's going to be hot for the preseason. Majority of that stuff is already really sold out, but we're trying to do something big in DMV, and Clay and I will talk about that when we come back. So look, keep it locked. Big announcement coming up. Time to make waves in youth football. Once again, Generation Next, football uncut, right here on Generation Next.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark.
It's gonna be like that all day!
I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing.
Yes, sir. So, Clay, what we always pride ourselves on, I don't care if it's from the jewelry, from the uniforms, to how we get down. Two things we'll talk about this year: national championships. We are having Division One and Division Two. Will be a little different from last year. Kind of tell us about the changes of how the YNC National Championship will be played this year, come December.
So, a couple changes that we're gonna have, guys, and make sure you make note of this, right? One of the biggest things that we're going to do is last year as we introduced Division Two, we gave them their own week, right? And what I noticed, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Jonah, I just felt like that the level of excitement that comes along with the YNC wasn't quite there on Division Two because they had their own individual week. I'm going to put it all together this year. This year we're going to have Division One and Division Two together. So that allows all that excitement from Division One now to kind of roll over to Division Two as well, too, all in the same venue. It's a huge benefit. So, for example, Coach TK last year with TME, he had to be in Florida for 2 weeks because he had to coach one team in Division One, and then he had another
Yeah,
team that qualified as a Division Two.
yeah,
Same thing with RDU and Coach Reggie. He had half his org there in Division One, and then he had a couple pieces in Division Two. Now it's an opportunity for a whole complete national org to be in one spot at one time, whether it's Division One and Division Two. Second thing that we're doing is we're expanding on this cheer competition, right? So introducing a preseason cheer event this year, which nobody hasn't done before. People may say, "Hey, how are we gonna get this done?" Sit back and watch us work. Not only just the stomp and shake portion, but we'll have a traditional portion as well too. As our two cheer directors are working hard to put that together, and we'll start sending out invites about that next week. About to change the game, Jonah. When I tell you, brother, first, before I make this statement, let me address all the counterfeiters out there, right? You ever walk into a restaurant, Jonah, and you got the new J's on your feet, and you see a fella walk in with his date, and they looking clean, and they sit down, and you look down and you say, "Man, them some fake Jordans you got on," but you keep it to yourself because you don't want to be a hater, and you just go on about your business and enjoy your meal with your wife or whatever. Well, that's what's going on right now, man. It's a lot of people trying to copy. It's a lot of people out there fake jaywalking right now. So we gonna change the game, man. When I tell you this new championship ring and this new championship necklace is fin to blow people's mind, oh my
right.
gosh, Jonah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I well, when I sent you the video of what I wanted to do, tell me exactly what you thought.
Yeah,
Be
I
real.
watched the video last week, man. I thought I was in a music video. I was waiting for Puff Daddy to jump out and do his thing. You know what I'm saying? He come over here to death row. If you don't want the producers and you don't want everybody in the video, come over here to death row. But
So
and,
yeah,
and
man.
speaking of
So
changing the game, man, so we want to make sure that we give these kids a platform that's crazy on every aspect that we can think of. You know what I'm saying? So we always want to make sure. When I go to the stores or I'm traveling, man, I love to pick up Sports Illustrated. I love to pick up ESPN magazine. I love to see these teams just really have their shine. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something you can hold on to for a long time. And we already know if you're not digital, you're not in business right now. So we went back to the drawing board. Just thought it should be something that we bring to the next level. We're about to drop the 2023 inaugural online magazine for these top players, teams from around the country. It's going to look a little something like this. We'll start it off with the top teams from around the country. That's your cover shot right now. Those are your national champs. That's going to be rocking issue number 1. We'll have the featured teams you look at here. We'll just drop it around all the internet. This cover is talking about the stingy defense of the DEA Dragons, what makes Voodoo's offense, 8U offense, 9U offense work, and what are the top 5 running backs, or who are the top 5 running backs in football, period. So, each and every week there'll be some different things that we highlight on. And, of course, we're going to see which are the top teams. The top team of the week will definitely get that centerfold inside the magazine. But this online magazine, you'll be able to go on the Instagram. You'll be able to go on the Facebook and just toggle and flip through it, and they'll highlight these top kids. And, of course, the vaulted rankings will be in there. We'll have Clayton's Corner where he'll break down what he feels are some good points, some bad points about youth football. And we keep it all uncut. We don't cut no corners around with it. But again, this is for the babies. So again, 2023, we are releasing the National Youth Football Magazine right here. And listen, you'll have some teams. You'll see a magazine come out next week somewhere, Clay. You can count on that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, because we always
right now,
set the trend, Jonah. We always setting the trend. You know how this goes, man. And here's the thing, man. It's flattering at times. Now it becomes overwhelming. I'm sitting and I'm looking at some of these pictures of people trying to duplicate our chain, and they doing a piss poor cheap version of it. And I see people trying to duplicate our rings, and it looked like it came out of a gumball machine. And I done seen people try to duplicate our trophies, and it just don't have that oomph to it like that, right? Because it's a lot different to buy a dollar store crystal or Waterford crystal. It's a lot different, right? But here's the thing, man. When you do something like this, Jonah, I mean, I don't know, man. Just call Jonah and ask permission to copy it this time, guys. Right? Don't come out with it. Just call him and ask him. Hey, Jonah, listen. We're your biggest fan. We love everything that you do. Can I just have a written release so I can do my online magazine too? Because I just want to be like Generation Next. That's all I want to do.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So now, Clay, it's going down in your home city. I know you take pride in making Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. It don't matter what city, long as it's in Texas, you always put a little special flavor to it. What can we expect coming out of Houston this year? Preseason is going down. Man, it's been hot in Texas right now. I'm gonna bring my suntan lotion out. I'm not gonna front. I'm gonna make sure I'm good.
You better bring a mobile air condition if you coming to Houston. You better bring a mobile air condition built in your clothes if you coming to Houston. Because I can tell you this, and you need to have a lot of hydration. But here's the thing, man. Do you want me to jump right into Houston, Jonah, or do you want me to talk a little bit about
I love Houston. We're gonna circle back around. But yeah, let's jump into Houston right now.
All right. So what I'm going to talk about right now is I'm going to talk about the teams that are actually confirmed, right? So that means these teams received their invitations. They actually followed the steps of confirming their invitation, and they have their registration link to register their team and get paid. Get their registration paid. So guys, listen to what I'm telling you. There's a step to this. There's a process to this. So therefore, hear your name right now. That means your team is not confirmed. That doesn't mean you didn't get an invite. That just means your team is not confirmed. And what you need to realize is that each age level only has a certain amount of slots. There's only one age level that has 8 slots. Everybody else either has 6 or 4 slots. So if you haven't confirmed your slot, you could be a YNC national champion. And if you ain't confirmed your slot and we already full, you're going to be on the outside looking in. Here's some matchups that we're going to have. Or better yet, here are some of the teams that are confirmed for 6U in Houston.
Let's do it.
Space City, Raising Havoc, RCU, Renegade Colts, San Antonio Outlaws. On 7U, you have Atlanta Elite coming all the way down from the A. You have the AYF National Champion San Antonio Outlaws. You have the Southwest Cardinals, who a lot of people said might have been the best 6U team in the country last year when they was the ABA Bulldogs. You have the TNS Cougars, you have the Oak Cliff Titans, and you have Renegades Coach United. On 8U, you have the the YNC National Champion, Bessemer Tigers, coming to play the AYF National Champions. My man Jawan, who always supports the YNC, Playmakers Elite. You also have Gorilla Mob. Now, let me tell you about Gorilla Mob, Jonah. And I can't claim to know everything about youth football or Texas football, but I've got some people in some places that keep me very informed. I have heard this week that with some of the additions that Gorilla Mob has on 8U, there are people in Houston that say they are a lock to win the national championship this year. You hear me?
Wow.
Not contend for it, not challenge for it. My guys tell me this team is a lock to win the national championship with some of the new additions that they've added. You're going to have the Southside Ducks there. DEA will be there. And here's a team that or organization we ain't heard from in a while, but now they have a new group of kids that they say are just as talented as the last group of kids they had. Louisiana Grizzlies. Tell me last time you heard
Yeah,
that name.
right. So
On nine.
that's like a load. And so
Yeah.
now when we get out of there, so our first week, of course, you're talking about going to the Carolinas, man. This is something that's special. We knew all these coaches want to get out there. They want to hang out. They want to have the nightlife. Talk about some of the action we can expect coming over there, coming out of Charlotte.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish dropping these teams in Houston, Jonah.
Okay, yeah.
that
You
are
know what? Yeah, let
confirmed.
me not go too far. Let me not go too
And I'm gonna tell you
fast.
why I'm gonna drop the teams. Let me tell you why I'm gonna drop the teams, because it's a lot of people out there using our invites to recruit kids to their team, and they know they're not coming to the YNC. It's
Right.
a lot of people out there on the internet right now, hitting people with the Euro step and faking them out like they finna be part of the smoke, and they know they're not part of the smoke. So I'm finna tell you the teams that I'm gonna tell you the teams that are confirmed on 9U. RDU, AYF Division II National Champion. YNC Division II National Champion. Bad Boys, the AYF Division I National Champion. Pac Prime, Crescent City Chargers, when you know that they the real deal.
Right.
Raising Havoc, and Cornerstone Youth Organization. On 10U, Raising Havoc, DeMarcus and Gold Blooded Titans, who was one of our national semifinalists last year. More Truth, another team that was a national semifinalist. DEA is jumping in the mix with their 10U, and TNS, another team that did well at the YNC last year.
Yeah,
On
TNS
11U,
was
you
definitely
got the
ball.
TNS. 11U, you got the TNS Cougars, who were the AYF D1 national champions. You have our Renegade Coach United, who this is a team that's going to Charlotte to challenge Lambeau. Canceled
Yeah,
their trip to California to go to Charlotte to challenge Lambeau because they say that
that's
they
gonna be a
got something
move.
for them. Coach Erica and Louisiana Wave is going to be in the building. Cornerstone is going to be in the building. The Crew has returned on 11U. They're going to be in the building. And then I've got a sleeper here, guys. A team that, unless you in Texas, you don't know about, but they're finally ready to try to dip their toe into the big stage. Abilene Bulldogs. This is a team out of West Texas. They really can
Right.
play some good football. On 12U, Coach Reggie Jones and Air Academy's coming all the way down from Seattle, Washington. DEA. A lot of people been talking about this DEA team, that it might be better at this 12U team, maybe be better than last year's 12U team. We're going to find out. BME, which is supposed to be the most dominant 12U team in Houston. We'll see what they look like. A merger between the Kansas City Outlaws and Oklahoma, OGE on 12U. They're going to be in the building. And not to mention, you're going to have a big matchup between two 12U traditional teams, TCU and the Houston Seahawks. So you're going
Texas
to have
gonna
a
be heating
DFW
up.
versus Houston vibe right there. And then on
Yeah.
13U, Southwest Junior Marlins and DEA are going to go head to head to see who's really the best 13U in the state of Texas. So that these are the teams that are confirmed right now for Houston. So Joan, anybody else that they posting a picture, oh, we got an invite, this and that, yada yada yada, they haven't
Yeah.
done their steps to get confirmed. So all they got right now is a digital image, and that's it.
So we talk about, listen, and here's the thing about, let's back up about the invitation process. So, you know, when you're a youth football coach, you got to it's all about preparation. You got to let your parents know, and it's all about us having an organization on our end. So we can't wait till July. We can't wait till August for you just, oh yeah, coach, we're coming. So when we come on here and we're talking about certain teams, it's because the coaches have had the wherewithal to handle the administrative side of football. And that's what I always tell people. So I've coached. There was a Jonah before Generation X. I coach. I was a president of a park. The Miami Gardens Chargers. You know, Dalvin Cook, all these guys on my team. So I'm just not talking about the side of doing events or doing the Generation Next thing. No. So, you know, you'll get people here and they'll hear all these different teams. Coaches, I'm gonna just tell you like this: we got to keep it 100. You want national recognition, and everybody wants it in December, but then they don't put in the resume during July, August, September, October, November. It gets it kind of late for you when you're keeping a local schedule and you want to be nationally recognized. So the purpose of these preseason events is so you can get your team on the radar early. So you as a coach, it's bigger than just you coaching X's and O's, getting you some couple wins. It's about giving your kids the opportunity to be on a national level. So when you take and accept and you ask, hey, I want to be the head coach, you put your hand up here, I want to be the head coach this year. Okay, coach. But when you are the leader of 35 or 40 kids, you're the leader of those parents, the decision makers. So coaches, don't get on here, tag Clay and I, and say, man, well, you only talk about these teams. You only talk about those teams. They got off their asses. They got the kids signed up. They talked to the parents, and they made moves. If you ain't shaking and making no moves, take that same energy off the keyboard. Don't tag me. Don't text Clay. Don't talk about what teams we talk about. We're talking about the teams that's playing football, not about the teams that's just playing Nintendo and what you want to do. So sometimes you got to have these hard talks. But one thing I learned, Clay, never let somebody paint the picture for you. If you don't address certain things, then people can run with it, run with. So let's erase. Let me come on right up into the camera. Let me erase all that paint that you're putting there on the lines, and let's talk about keeping it real. So next time we get on here, and Football Uncut is on here, you can tell us where you registered, where you like. And listen, it don't have to be a YNC event. Clay and I aren't salesmen. What we put on has his own swag, it has his own vibe. We don't hold no expense when it comes to these babies. You know what I'm saying? We don't line our pockets and just try to ride all the big whips off events. No, we give it back. The rings, the chains, the uniforms, it's all given back to the community. You know what I'm saying? You talk to my man Chris over at Baptist. They don't have to do it, but we do it because we want to. So coaches, I would implore you right now. You want that national vibe, that national recognition. It takes, and you know what, Clay, let me even say this. Let me give a hats off, because I'm not just going to talk about dudes. There's a girl in Louisiana right now named Coach Erica, right?
Yeah.
Louisiana, come out of Louisiana. Look what she does annually for her kids. She'll get it together, get them boys on the road.
Yep.
They played in Texas.
Yep.
They played in Florida. They played in Pensacola. So if this woman can do it, fam, right? And I got these dudes being crabs trying to hit us up about football. Man, if this woman can do it, y'all can do it, coach. So I want to just tell you, we're taking a little TV break right now and talking about the purpose of what we do preseason, what we do out through the year is to give these kids a national platform. But you can only bless your babies if you take these opportunities to get them. The Bessmers are the national championships, Voodoo national championships, Lambeau, Rare Breeds, DA, Lauderhill, Rampage. And the thing about them, Clay, what they have in common, those coaches go get it for them babies. Rampage in California, man, them people come across country to play football. Coach Bat, they don't play, they get them babies on the road. Rare Breeds, Coach DeMarcus, look at the schedule Coach DeMarcus does with Rare Breeds. If I've ever seen a team travel, them boys get on the road. You look at his schedule this year, and he's been doing this a long time. I never forget, I was up in Maryland when he had RDU. He had those boys back then. You know what I'm saying? ABA, excuse me.
ABA,
ABA,
yeah.
So all I would tell you, coaches, listen, we can't call y'all pockets. We know it takes fundraising. We know it takes, community. We know it takes all those resources to come together. But I would implore you, man, really try to get out there and try to make it for your team early in the season. Get out on the football field and make it happen. So, Clay, Houston seems like it's going to be bananas, man. So I can't wait.
Houston,
like I said, I'm going to come
Houston
going
to
to
be bananas.
Then I'm doing my push-ups so I can come out there in tank tops. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to come out there in no trench coat. I'm going to enjoy the heat and do it and make it do what it do.
But I'm going to tell you this, Jonah. Houston's going to be crazy. But if I'm being honest, the way you start a preseason series, the way you kick it off, is exactly how it's about to go down in Charlotte. Man, let me tell you this lineup and talk about some of these matchups we're going to see. On 6U, Lauderdale Lake Vikings is coming up from the FYFL.
Woo. Let's go.
Southwest Cardinals, Twin City Outlaws.
Let's go.
Douglasville Tiger Cubs, Bill
Let's
R.
go.
Falcon, These are teams that are confirmed right now on 6U. And when I tell you, man, that's some smoke. And here's the thing, guys, with 6U in the preseason, especially when we're talking about the last weekend in July, it's tough to really gauge who those top teams are going to be.
Right.
But if we're looking at traditional powerhouse organizations, this platform right here shows you exactly where they're at and then where they're going to be. Now on 7U, this is going to get really stupid. You got the YNC National Champions, Division I Bessemer Tigers. You've got the Lauderdale Lake Vikings.
Oh, that's going to
You've
be
got the
crazy.
Southwest Cardinals, who again, and I keep saying it, a lot of people last year said that was the best 6U team in the country. You've got Rare Breeds. You've got the Division II YNC National Champion, 404 Bulls. And you have Showtime coming, and I've been hearing a whisper, that the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes might be coming up from Miami. I've been
Oh, that's
hearing a
what's up.
whisper, Jonah.
Yeah.
A whisper. 8U.
And speaking, and I'm not going to jump ahead, but one of my favorite Fort Lauderdale Hurricane teams, Clay, and it just seemed they've just been a little short, and they've just every year going all the way back to when we was at IMG where they lost in the last second against the Crew. This year they're going to be on 11U. This year they had a game where they fumbled, they threw an interception, and they went down 21 points in the first quarter, and they fought all the way back just to lose it at the end. But Coach Maul and that Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes 11U, I'm telling you, they are this close away for competing for a national championship. I would love to see them boys come out early, get some of that national exposure. And this is what I will say about it too. Man, so imagine this, Clay. Imagine you are a marathon runner, right? And all of a sudden you're trying to sign up for the 100-meter run, right? So you're a marathon, you're pacing it. Then all of a sudden you've been running marathon all season long. Then they tell you, hey, man, for this last game, I need you to jump in that 100-meter. Man, when you start seeing this different speed, it's a different twitch. So what I'm telling you, you need that national acclamation early because, man, when you get in that national championship, it's a gauntlet and it's a bit too late. See what I'm saying? So us as coaches, yeah, you can handle it. You know what's coming. When them babies see that different speed, and then you got to think about it. You don't get the time to recover a week like you do in your regular football season. You play on Saturday, get the rest up all the way to the following Saturday. Man, you play on Tuesday, you better strap your boots up and be ready on Wednesday for football. So I would tell you, coaches, get in some of this acclamation. But, man, remember, Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, 11U out of the Florida Youth Football League, they're going to cause some problems this year, Clay.
No doubt. 8U going down in Charlotte. YNC Division I National Champion Bessemer Tigers. YNC Division II National Champion West Orlando Jaguars. They're going to go head to head.
I like the Jags. I like them.
Lauderdale Lake Vikings. Dog pound on 8U going head to head with the Bessemer Tigers.
Big Naughty, let's do it.
So Icy Boy is going to be in the building. The Montgomery Gators have confirmed.
Okay.
Legacy Utah Heels and Coach Pimp and Real Deal University is going to be in the building on 8U. Tell me that's not a movie,
I'm going to get a big gold cup for Coach Pimp, man. You know what I'm saying? With a couple of rubies on that thing, bro.
Tell me that's not a movie. Moving on over to 9U.
Yeah.
Atlanta Elite, known as Voodoo, 3-time YNC national champion, Montgomery Gators, and the 404 Bulls have decided to step up to the stage to try to challenge Voodoo.
Let's do it.
10U. And again, guys, I'm only talking about teams that have confirmed. Teams that have confirmed.
Yeah.
Number 1 10U team in the country, Georgia Eagles. The Division II YNC national champion, West Orlando Jaguars.
Hey, Clay, I'm paying attention to the comments.
Eagles.
Hey, Clay, I'm paying attention to the comments real quick. They're saying, Clay, please spit out that gum.
Hey, man, I got to
stick it on the camera for him, Clay.
Got to make sure my breath on point. So
stick it on the camera for him.
We got the Georgia Eagles and the West Orlando
Yeah.
Jaguars who are going to be going head to head. Then we've got the number 2 10U team in the country, the Twin City Rares.
Okay.
Talk about three of the top 5 teams in the country.
Say that
man.
again, Clay. I like how that sounds again. That name sounds sexy. Say it again. Say it again one more time.
The Twin City Rares. The
I
Twin
love
City
it.
Rares.
That sounds like somebody's strip club or something, man.
Oh man, don't give DeMarcus no ideas, dog. All right. On 11U, the number 1 team in the country, pound for pound, in my opinion. Atlanta Elite Lambeau is gonna be in the building. Then
That's gonna be hard for me.
Bessemer Tigers 11U in the building.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have Atlanta Elite Red Dog, the YNC Division II national champion, in the building.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have them boys who have rearranged their schedule come all the way from Houston to face Lambeau, Renegade Coach United on 11U. Man, that's gonna be crazy.
Man, Charlotte about to be turned up.
12U. You know you're gonna have the matchup of the Reeds and the Boynton Beach Bulldogs going head to head. YNC Division I and Division II national champs.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Chiefs is coming. And Jonah, I'm gonna ask you about this team, man, because some of my guys is telling me that they coming up. And they coming up to try to shock some people. Miami Ghosts on 12U. Have you heard anything about this team down there in South Florida?
So they trying to just get a couple of goons on there, you know what I'm saying, and bring back the old throwback football, all physical football, and the names are on paper as a powerhouse team. Okay, so some kids from Oakland. Listen, whenever you get kids from the inner city, you got a chance. We know this, you know what I'm saying. But will it translate to a football team? That's what the preseason is for. But I can tell you this: they will have the personnel to play some football.
Most definitely. Okay. So on 13U, we've got our YNC Division II national champs, the Plantation Wildcats. And then we've got the home team, North Carolina Giants on 13U. They back in the building, and they say they finna knock Plantation off, dog, in their home city.
They always been big and physical. They just kind of fell apart at the end of the year. They weren't where they wanted to be national-wise. And so, listen, let me tell you, I've been watching that team since they came down and played the Golden Army when they were 9U. So this team has been together that long. 9U, 10U, 11U, 12U, 13U. So they're going to have continuity. But you know what? 13U, you not only need continuity, man. You need to come out there and play some X's and O's.
Now, on 14U, Maryland Heat is coming to Charlotte. And here's their challenge. Any 14U in the country that wants to face them, come to Charlotte. That's it.
That's simple enough.
Any 14U team in the country that wants to face them, come to Charlotte. So
that's simple enough. And I already got to take her. Hollywood Powell said they'll beat us. So tell Maryland Heat, get their mouthpieces in, and that smoke better be real smoke.
And
not a fire extinguisher. Hey, because Clay, a fire extinguisher only lasts until that little bottle empty. Then you're looking crazy. You come to the toe with a little fire thing, then that thing starts choking on you. So the smoke better be real. So yeah, Hollywood Powell will be up that way to take them on. So we'll lock it in.
And I'm gonna put this out there just because I'm looking at the comments. I'm only talking about teams that have done the appropriate process to confirm their invite and get registered. So if a team received an invite and they're not confirmed, I'm not talking about them today. And yes, someone said, oh, this team is running, that team is running. I can't tell you who's running, but I can tell you this. It's several Carolina teams that received invites that have yet to confirm or register. So
right.
All I know is last time I was in school, Jonah, 2 + 2 still equaled 4. So I'm just doing the math.
All day. So listen, when we come back, we wrap up the last bit of the invites. We talk about DMV. DMV is about to turn to a different type of movie. But man, preseason, yeah. I'm amped up about it, Clay. I can't wait to go ahead and see these boys, some of the top teams. I want to see the defending champs to come out there. I'm ready to see the rare breeds come out there. So rare breeds last year in it, went to California, had a little dog fight with the Ducks, but came back and finished strong. If you really look back at that team last year, think about it. They were 11U. And you look at some of the players that's on that team right now, man, some of those guys, I'm 6'2". Some of those players are taller than me, and that was at 11. 12 years old, I'm looking at some of these videos of the rare breeds practice. Coach Mark is about 6 foot. All these kids are towering over him. It seems like these kids hit their growth spurt. Will the rare breeds be the power team that they were before? We know Mark had experience. He got a couple national championships out his back. As a matter of fact, he has one of the famous championship teams over at IMG. We call it the Goat Kart Championship. You know what I'm saying? That everybody remember, but
No doubt.
some special teams. So if anybody can really just get it out of there. And what's going to be a little different for me this year, Clay, is I'm used to saying Central DeKalb Lambeau. It's different this year. You won't be able to say Central DeKalb Lambeau.
It's different to say Atlanta Elite Lambeau, especially when there's another Atlanta Elite Red Dogs. And they're going to have to clash head-to-head because one is the YNC Division I champion, the other one's the YNC Division II champion. But I'm going to jump back on that 12U just for a moment. Let me tell you this, man. I'm hearing stuff about the Southfield Falcons. I'm hearing stuff about DEA. And no disrespect to either one of those programs. And I'm going to be honest with you. And like you said, I'm a Texas guy. I'm from Texas. Love my state. I don't see nobody beating Rare Breeds 12U this year. So all I can say is prove me wrong.
Yeah. And listen, and so the knocks are, so here's the critics. I mean, I watch and hear the other stories. They're saying, will the quarterback play be enough for the Rare Breeds this year? Being that the quarterbacks maybe not as tall as you think is it going to be a Doug Flutie where you can't see over the line? As we talked about the size of the Rare Breeds, but then you talk about so many athletes on the Rare Breeds. You talk about the linebackers, the defensive lines, the running backs. You probably one of the most explosive running backs in the game. So that's going to be the challenge this year. Let's see where the Rare Breeds end up. But yeah, they're probably one of the most dominant teams in youth football. And Clay, if you had to name 4 dominant teams, name top 4. Would Rare Breeds be in your top 4 pound for pound as in dominant?
Without a
now,
doubt.
you already made it clear.
Without a
You love
doubt.
Voodoo. Okay?
Voodoo,
Love
Lambeau.
Voodoo is one of your most dominant teams. You love Lambeau as one of your most dominant teams. All right? Outside of Lambeau and Voodoo, give me your other 2 dominant youth football teams that if you had to say, man, they're going to hold a trophy up at the end of the year, what are those 2 other teams?
Rare Breeds 12U, DEA 13U.
Sound like a sure bet to me. Hey, man, when we come back, we talk DMV. Hey, top 4. Heard it here, Clay and Jonah. Football Uncut.
Focus. Speed. I am speed. Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning.
Okay, I'll go back.
And welcome back while Clay is trying to handle some battle business over there at Corporation over in Nebraska real quick. I'm reading some of these comments. Clay, if you had to say, and this is probably going to get you beat up, though.
I'm good.
Name me the top 3 youth football states right now. Just top 3 states youth football from production, not from opinion. You go by championships over the last, let's take a gauge of the last 4 or 5 years.
It's simple. Georgia, Texas, and Florida.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. It's not even debatable. Here's the thing. There are several things that are supported by facts, Jonah.
Okay, I'm listening.
And the facts behind it is your championships mostly come from Georgia, Florida, or Texas. It's just like the whole debate about our July 1st cutoff date compared to teams that have the July 31st or the August 1st cutoff date. Let's be real.
Right. Okay.
Statistically, since the YNC has been created, 70% of all national champions have either been July 31st or August 1st teams. Only 30% have been July 1st teams. And if we're being 100% honest, last year, 2022 was the first time that we had more than 3 July 1st national champions in 1 year. Before
Right.
that, the max was 3. So I say all that to say this. Everybody wants to come up with their own theory, but let's talk about facts. Top 3 states in youth football: Georgia, Florida, and Texas.
So
Is there a
now you're
difference
gonna
between
get
July 1st cutoff date and a July 31st cutoff date? It's not. Quit making up excuses. Quit running from smoke. Quit coming up with an excuse on why you got to go here instead of going there. There's no difference. It's not.
so what I will give credit for, and let's just break it down real quick, Clay. California, they've been dominant at the 14 and under division for a while. If you probably had to take the last before Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, because Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, with the except when the YNC launched, they were dominant. But you look at those special kids that were on that team, Amari Daniels, big baby teams like or players like that. But after that, you have to either say OG Ducks, Vegas Strong, or OC Buckeyes. They've been your 14U champions, and then you go back this year, Rampage. So you've had some dominant teams like Maryland Heat compete, Maryland Seahawks compete, Plantation Wild, but they haven't been able to be as consistent at the 14 and under, right?
But I think you make a good point, Jonah. But you also have to consider what states participate in 14U.
This is true.
So now, tell me a Texas 14U team that you've ever heard of. I'll wait.
They don't have it. It's 13 years when they stop.
Exactly.
So what you're saying, if y'all was playing 14 football, y'all was gonna get y'all some championships if y'all was at 14. So hold on. Slow down, Clay. Because I want to really, now that you brought that up, how many championships Texas won? Because you're throwing Texas in there like y'all balling out there. Hold on. Let me do some YNC homework.
So do your
help me out.
DA.
Hold on.
I'm finna help you because I know you're a little special ed. I'm finna help you. All right. So listen.
I'm real special right now.
Do your YNC homework. If you remove the 14U age level, how many national championships does California have? I'll wait. I'll give you the answer.
Okay. No, but that's not
0.
But that's not what I'm on right now. What
0.
I'm on right now. Hold on. Let's talk 6U to 13U. Since we're in special age, 6,
you got
13U.
You got the crew, and you got 2 DEAs. That's 3.
You said crew about 8 times already.
You got the crew, you got 2 DEAs.
You still on the crew.
Maybe your phone's cutting out. But you said how many?
Over here, my phone got nothing to do with what's going on.
if Bessemer wins, if Alabama wins one more, they will overcome Texas.
Because that was my point. I was going to say I think Alabama has more championships than Texas right now. So they've got the 2 Bessemers. They've got the 2 Bessemers, and then they have the one that they won IMG year. So they've got 3 as well. Right. Okay.
So that's why I said if they win one more, they would overcome Texas.
Now, do we have?
Hold on, Jonah. I forgot. Texas has 4 SED.
This is true. All right. And that's the year they said SED was high.
Alabama would need to win one more to tie Texas. So again, the answer is Georgia, Florida, Texas.
And then, do we have any championship that ever took place out of the DMV?
City Life. City Life has a national championship out of the DMV.
That is correct. So they are the hope for the DMV.
You say though. Well, let's be real. Maryland Heat has gotten close a couple times. Coach Bird just got to get over that hump, but they've gotten close a couple times.
Yeah. And we were wishing, because I really think one of the most dominant teams out of the DMV was Watkins at one time as well. But unfortunately, we never got to see Watkins on the field. So, just going through a little youth football talk right here, where we feel the top teams come from. And DMV is making a push. I think City Life is going to be strong. Big O is back with City Life this year. I think they'll make a difference. We'll see them in the DMV area. So once we go to DMV, listen, this is a call out to the DMV teams. When we come in your city and you see those battle flags flying, those YNC flags, it's your time to put your team on the map, because, Clay just made some valid points. Georgia, Florida, Texas just really kind of been leading. Alabama's been really making a strong push with Bessemer behind those guys.
But hold on, Jonah. I mean, let's think about it, though. And I might be wrong on this. Since we taken 14U out of it, you've got Lauderhill, who won it at 13U. When's the last time a Florida team has won that wasn't 14U?
Yeah, well, Ravens won at every age level that they ever played in.
Well, yeah, you're right. Miami Gardens Ravens. You're right. Yeah. They won. Yeah,
so they were dominant.
13U.
And you had two different Raven coaches. You had Coach Mack and Coach Butterwin.
Oh, and Coach Butter, you're 100% right. Yep. You're right. You're right.
And we also had Washington Park with Coach win as well. Washington Park won at 13U as well. So we've had some Florida teams out there.
That was our first year. I remember that. Yep.
Correct. So it's been removed. So you got to see what teams are really. Is it coaching? Is it geographic that the kids are doing? What's been the secret of it? But we'll start breaking those things down, and that'll be in our magazine as well, Clay. Where is the power of youth football being played on the youth football level?
I mean, so if we talk, and I know you asked for top three, and when I give this list, man, I don't want anybody to take it as disrespect. We're just talking about where the championships are, right? Or not necessarily championships, but where dominant teams have come from. I think if you look at youth football, Georgia, Florida, Texas, you've got to say the DMV, you've got to say California, right? And then, I think it's a toss-up between Louisiana and Alabama. Now, obviously, Alabama has more championships, so they get the nod. But there's been some very talented teams that have come out of Louisiana. Because if we're being honest, without RDU, the Louisiana Grizzlies are a 3 or 4 time national champion as well. Yeah, they just couldn't get over the RDU hump. They couldn't beat Coach Red.
Man, can you remember that year they was up 24 points in the championship game?
Yes.
I know that coach still having nightmares about that game. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So interesting fun facts, man, and seeing where this power football is being played from. Let's see if it shifts this year. Will we have an opportunity to see some of these teams shifted over in the DMV early in the season?
So listen, we talked about DMV being a one field venue, 8 to 9 big games over a weekend. But everybody wants to go play at DMV. And here's the thing, there's so many top teams that have put their name in the hat for DMV. If I chose 8 or 9 matchups, Jonah, I'd be doing that event a disservice. Because it's, man, oh my gosh, Jonah, some of the games that's going to go down in DMV, we had to find a bigger venue, man, with more space. We had to.
Yeah, and so that's what we're working on. We got something big coming down the pipe. So next time we get on the show, we should have a big announcement. Because again, here's one thing we want to make sure we pay attention at YNC, and we always pay attention in the preseason and even in the championships. It's not about packing these stadiums. It's not about trying to just get a whole bunch of teams in. It's about quality football being played, that we want to evaluate some of these teams. So if we have the opportunity to see some of these top teams play in the preseason, these coaches get to match up some of their best players, and these teams get to match up against some of these best teams, that's what it's for. And so the opportunity's there in DMV just to go ahead and make a movie where these kids get to have it before we jump into the regular season. And so, Clay, I really like, if I had to pick a team, and people don't know about it yet, the DMV teams, the City Life boys are back with Big O being back on the team. Coach TJ is the head coach over there. TJ is telling me he has something special over there, something special. And then I've never seen a team so consistent. Maryland Heat, Again, I got to name them my youth football Buffalo Bills. They've been so close so many times and come up short. But, man, just to see the look of disappointment on Coach Bird first of times. And I got to tell you, I went up there just to watch the OG Ducks play the Maryland Heat. And, man, it was a dog fight. And they ended up losing big in Maryland. But guess what? Then OG Ducks came back here, and Coach Bird got to return the favor, but still came up a little short against Rampage. So, gotta tell you, this year looks exciting for the preseason. Go ahead, Clay. I know you just read something. You want to address something. I see the look on your face.
I got to. Here's the team that I'm excited to see in Maryland.
Yeah.
In DMV.
Yeah.
In the DMV. Right? I've been hearing that nobody in the area will play these kids. I'm hearing everybody is running from them. Clock Boys 11U. They say they call them the Clock Boys 2.0. They said nobody will play them. I'm looking for teams outside the area to play this team. So if you wait, the one thing I say about DMV is I've never known them to be afraid of smoke. If you running teams in the DMV away from you, I want to see what you look like in person. I can't wait to see this team.
Well, I tell you, who will take that challenge. You get Coach Howard up there with Lambeau, he'll turn on his clock real quick.
I know Howard will. I know Howard will.
And you see how pull up with a Newport real quick, and you know it's on and popping.
Look, Howard just commented. He said, "Send him to us."
I know Howard over there real quick. So, man, listen, Clay. Excited for preseason. This is what we all get ready for, man. We're in June, getting ready for this July action. Great show, man. It's really good to catch back up with your fam as we start getting into this weekly. Clay, I have his section inside that magazine, Clay Corner. So what I would encourage, Clay, if they had to reach out to you, because here's some of the thing. I know reading is fundamental. Some of these teams see their names being announced on breakdown when you're doing the invitations, and they haven't followed up. What's the best way for them to follow up from a call of action?
So here's the thing. Everybody that you've seen your invitation on social media, that invitation has been emailed to you, either to your head coach or the team mom, or the email address of whatever person put your name in the hat to be considered and sent the team's resume in. The invitation will have come from invite@youthnationalchampionship.com, or if it was a day that I was working on the road and I did it from my laptop, then it came from Clayton@youthnationalchamp.com. So those are the two emails you need to look for. Maybe look in your spam folder, maybe look in your junk mail. It got mixed up. The only way you can confirm your email or confirm your registration, you have to reply to the invite email stating we are in. Then I will email you back your registration link that's personalized for your team only. So you can't use someone else's registration link. You have to use your own. Once you register your team, pay your fee, get your roster uploaded, you are good to go. And as we get closer, man, we're going to drop these schedules, these matchups, these brackets, and we're going to set the youth platform on fire this preseason.
Clay, if I'm a first-time coach just watching this, my team just got an invite, what are the big requirements that I need to send in to you to get my team registered?
First thing you need to do is make sure that your team has hard copy government-issued pictured IDs, state ID, passport, military ID, tribal Native American ID. Now, if you're 6U, we still will allow the birth certificate for preseason only, because I know it's going to be new to get those guys their IDs, right? But every other age level needs to have a state or government issued hard copy pictured ID. That's the very first step. If you know that you're going to be playing in these events, go ahead and send your parents to get that stuff done. If you're in states where by law they can't have IDs, then have your team mom reach out to us at invite@youthnationalchampionship.com, all spelled out, and then we will tell you the additional documentation that needs to be supplied for each kid, because by state law, they can't have a particular ID. That's the very first thing to do. Second thing to do is reach out to invite@youthnationalchampionship.com, right, and find out what needs to be done. It's a simple email. Hey, coach, we got an invite. I'd like to confirm everything. I don't know what's going on. Can you catch us up? Myself or my administrative team will reach out to you, if not by email, by phone, and we will make sure you're caught up. I want to make sure everybody can take advantage of these invites and play at on the biggest stage. But the reality is this. There's only a certain amount of teams for each age level. So once those slots are full, they're full. Nothing else we can do about it. So you got to take care of your administrative business first, because I think a lot of people are so concentrated on the football right now, they're making plans for something that they hadn't even registered for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, you can want to propose to your old lady, but you can't propose if you ain't bought no ring yet. You better buy that ring first. So.
Oh, man. Well, listen, as we getting ready for matrimony vibes, man, it's going down on different levels. All right, fake proposals. But listen, we want to see you out there
fake
on the football field.
Jaywalkers. Don't forget the fake jaywalkers, Jonah. Don't forget the fake jaywalkers. Shout out to y'all, man. You keep us relevant. We love you.
Hey, Nebraska, my man is high on this Nebraska air right now. We want to thank y'all for joining in at Football Uncut, same time, same place every week. As we get ready for the preseason, man, most important, if your team is involved in it, do not procrastinate. Just like Clay said, get your paperwork in, get your kids signed up. We'll see you out there on the football field. You know, the cameras be running, the battle team will be out there, AG Live Sports will be out, Generation X out there. So we want to make sure we give you the biggest platform as possible. And that, like I always tell you, the championship starts right now. You know, we have a lot of different arguments, Clay, was saying, well, how do you take it as a coach for preseason? Do you take this when you want to come out there and make a statement and you want to be the top team and blow everybody out? Or do you want to come in preseason, you want to evaluate your kids? Because you coach, you on the Outlaws, people know your face when you coach. How would you treat preseason? Do you treat preseason where you want to get all your kids in and you just want to see what's the Johnny at O's? Or do you want to come out there and kick somebody's ass and say, man, hey, I beat them 42-0?
So for me, man, it was always to see where my team was. I always tried to play the toughest competition because I wanted to know what we needed to work on, or I wanted to know what exactly was left for us to fix. You know, I did the same thing with my regular season schedule. I don't know if you remember, but when my last group of kids was 13U, I didn't give them an invite to the Youth National Championship. I should have, because they played the hardest schedule in the country, but they didn't win the games they should have won. I wanted to know before I had my parents spend that money in December that we were in contention for the national championship. So I challenged them with the hardest preseason schedule that I could find, and I created the hardest regular season schedule I could find, including our annual matchup with the YNC national champion Rare Breeds. Because if we couldn't make that game competitive, there was no reason for me to have these parents spend their Christmas money going to December.
Right.
So I think people have to look at it that way. Let's play the tough competition early, see where we are, and then get better as the season goes on. A lot of times guys are so worried about, you know, oh, I don't want to take a loss, or my kid's going to leave me and go to another team if I lose in the preseason. Newsflash, coach. If you worried about losing your kids because of a preseason loss, then you never had your kids. And that's just being honest. You never had them.
I love it. Hey, well, with that being said, man, we're going to get to it out here on Football Uncut. We'll leave you with this. You never had them. It's Jonah Wood, Clayton Gallery. We'll see you next week right here on Football Uncut.